Even though we witnessed Luffy's Devil Fruit awakening and his epic Gear 5 form, there is still a lot that we don't understand about the Nika Devil Fruit. How is it possible that it has a will of its own, and that it has been actively avoiding capture by the world government for 8 centuries? What is Luffy's actual connection to the historical Joy Boy, and why does Zunesha proclaim that Joy Boy himself has returned when Luffy's Devil Fruit awakens? How is all of this connected to the dark origin of Devil Fruits and to the Void Century? Oda has already been foreshadowing the true answer to these mysteries, but most people just haven't noticed yet. Don't believe me? Watch this video until the end, you won't be disappointed. If you enjoy my One Piece videos and you want to see more in the future, leave a quick like and comment right now. It only takes you a second, but it helps me out with that YouTube algorithm. And we are trying to awaken the full power of this channel by hitting 2 million subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, do me a huge favor and subscribe right now. Every single subscription counts, it helps us out a lot, and we really want to hit that mythical zone status here on the channel. Finally, this video will contain some One Piece manga spoilers, so please proceed with caution, you have been warned. In chapter 1090 of the One Piece manga, we get a major reveal about the lineage factor and how sharing the same lineage factor affects someone's personality and emotions. When Frankie thanks the Seraphim S-Snake for undoing her petrification on the Straw Hats, Dr. Vegapunk is confused because he doesn't remember programming S-Snake to act that way. Nothing in her programming or her general behavioral patterns indicates that she would have helped the Straw Hats in that situation. But we then get a flashback in which Luffy is standing up close to S-Snake and looking her right in the eyes. He calls her Hancock and he asks her to please undo her powers on his comrades. He says, "Please, you're the only one who can save them." And surprisingly, S-Snake just gives in. The flashback makes it clear that S-Snake has a huge crush on Luffy, just like the original Boa Hancock. And of course, we know that S-Snake was created from Boa's lineage factor, which is why she has access to Boa's Devil Fruit powers in the first place, but the idea that she has the same emotions as Boa is new. Jinbei laughs and says that S-Snake is such a perfect copy of Hancock that she seems to look down on literally everyone except for Luffy, just like the original Boa. Vegapunk finds all of this to be extremely interesting and he begins taking notes. It seems that even he himself did not realize that emotions are among the pieces of information that are transferred between the lineage factor during the cloning process. This might seem just like a minor detail at first, especially with everything that's happening on Egghead Island at the time, but this is actually a critical piece of information that explains the true nature of Devil Fruits and the true connection between Luffy, Nika, and the historical Joy Boy from the Void Century. Once Luffy awakened the true nature of his Devil Fruit and the Gomu Gomu no Mi was actually revealed to be the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika, a lot of people kind of just forgot about the whole Joy Boy thing, or at least they pushed it to the back of their minds. It seems that most people assumed that Joy Boy promising that he would one day return and Zunesha proclaiming that Joy Boy has returned just means that someone else has awakened the Nika Devil Fruit, which once belonged to the original Joy Boy from 800 years ago. Before we learned the truth about the Nika Fruit, there were a lot of theories about Luffy potentially being the reincarnation of Joy Boy, or about Luffy potentially inheriting the will of Joy Boy, or something along those lines. But after the real nature of Luffy's Devil Fruit was revealed, it was kind of just taken for granted that the only thing that Luffy and the historical Joy Boy really have in common is that they were both users of the same Devil Fruit, and they were both able to eventually awaken it. However, the more we learn about the lineage factor and how this One Piece version of DNA connects to the nature and origins of Devil Fruits, the more I think that the relationship between Luffy, Joy Boy, and Nika is actually more complicated than we realize. We already know that all life forms in the world of One Piece possess a lineage factor, and if you manipulate someone's lineage factor from a young age, the growth of that life form can be altered. We also know consuming a Devil Fruit literally alters a person's lineage factor, which is what allows them to gain new supernatural powers that seem to violate the laws of physics. In the past, the lineage factors of animals and existing Devil Fruit users have been used to create artificial zone Devil Fruits known as the Smile Fruits. Vegapunk was also able to synthesize green blood with the lineage factors of existing Devil Fruit users in order to give the Seraphim Paramecia type Devil Fruits, which is why S-Snake has access to the same Devil Fruit power as the real Boa Hancock. Finally, we have evidence that the lineage factor plays an important role in the transference of Logia devil fruits as well. For example, once Sabo consumes Ace's former devil fruit, the Mera Mera no Mi, Oda repeatedly hints at the fact that Sabo inherited more than just Ace's power. There seems to be some part of Ace's personality still within the devil fruit, which is why Sabo's actions and mannerisms suddenly become more similar to Ace's after he consumes the fruit. This is oddly similar to the situation with S-Snake, where she seems to have inherited not only Boa's powers, but also her personality and emotions, including her feelings of love for Luffy. We are not sure when exactly Boa's lineage factor was extracted for the purposes of creating S-Snake, but it has to have been after she gained her Devil Fruit power. The fact that the Devil Fruit power was successfully transferred to S-Snake through the lineage factor is the key thing here. Either Boa's lineage factor was taken from her a long time ago, before she even met Luffy, which would mean that she is literally genetically predisposed to fall in love with him, or her lineage factor was somehow taken more recently after she met Luffy, and her existing love for him just carried over to S-Snake through the lineage factor. Now, even though the Sabo and Ace situation is different from the S-Snake and Boa situation, one is just someone consuming the same Devil Fruit as a previous user, and the other is a complex cloning process that doesn't involve the transfer of the Devil Fruit itself, there is a common denominator in both situations, and that common denominator is the lineage factor. The lineage factor is such an important concept in the world of One Piece. It is literally the blueprint of all life, and it is crucial for everything from Devil Fruit powers and the cloning process to turning people into superhuman weapons, as Vince Monk Judge was able to do by manipulating the lineage factor of his own children. I mentioned earlier that when someone consumes a Devil Fruit, their lineage factor is altered by the Devil Fruit in question, allowing them to use superhuman powers that they weren't able to use before. But I believe that when someone eats a Devil Fruit, it's not just their lineage factor that is altered by the Devil Fruit. The lineage factor of that Devil Fruit user also alters the Devil Fruit itself, and the user's own lineage factor becomes imprinted upon the Devil Fruit. When the user of a Devil Fruit dies and the Devil Fruit is reincarnated, some part of the former user remains within the fruit in the form of the former user's lineage factor. That is what happened with Ace. When Sabo consumed the reincarnated Mera Mera no Mi, he also consumed some of Ace's lineage factor, some of his DNA. And when the Devil Fruit altered Sabo's own lineage factor, it combined it with some of Ace's lineage factor. This is why Sabo's behavior suddenly becomes more similar to Ace's. It is kind of like that real-world medical phenomenon that leads organ transplant recipients to suddenly begin exhibiting some personality traits of the organ's original owner. Now, if my theory is correct, and the lineage factors of former users are actually imprinted upon a Devil Fruit and then passed on to the next user of that same Devil Fruit, this would explain so much about Devil Fruits in general, and also about Luffy's true connection to Joy Boy. Why do Devil Fruits appear to have a will of their own? Their will comes from the lineage factor of former users. The Nika fruit in particular seemed to have such a powerful will that it was actively avoiding capture by the world government for 800 years. And that is because its former user was Joy Boy, the greatest enemy of the world government, and his relentless determination to free the world was carried over in the Nika Devil Fruit after his death. Why did Sabo inherit some of Ace's personality traits? When Sabo consumed Ace's former Devil Fruit, he also consumed some of Ace's lineage factor. Why did S-Snake instantly develop a crush on Luffy and was willing to go against her own programming in order to make him happy? It is because the same cloning process that gave her the ability to use Boa's Devil Fruit also gave her Boa's personality traits and emotions through Boa's lineage factor. So, what does this mean for Luffy? It means that Luffy didn't just consume the historical Joy Boy's former Devil Fruit. He also consumed some of Joy Boy's lineage factor through that Devil Fruit. This lineage factor contains some of Joy Boy's personality traits, and Luffy inherited them just like Sabo inherited some of Ace's personality traits. This means that some part of the original Joy Boy really is alive again inside of Luffy. So, in a way, the original Joy Boy really has returned. Joy Boy knew about the fact that his lineage factor would be imprinted upon the Nika Devil Fruit after his death, and that is why he promised that he would one day return to fulfill his promise. And he really meant it. When Zunesha proclaimed that Joy Boy had returned, he wasn't just being dramatic. he could really sense Joy Boy's lineage factor inside of Luffy. In the past, I made videos talking about how the original Joy Boy may have been a Lunarian, and I argued that Luffy inherited some of Joy Boy's Lunarian DNA through his lineage factor, which was passed down to Luffy within the Nika Devil Fruit. This explains why Luffy has always had a seemingly superhuman tolerance to heat and flames, why he was able to use fire-based powers like Red Hawk and Red Rock, and why his hair turns white when he goes into Gear 5. These could all be hints that Luffy inherited Joy Boy's Lunarian lineage factor, and of course, Joy Boy being Lunarian would also explain why the world government has been so obsessed with hunting down and destroying the poor Lunarians ever since the Void Century. But I won't get into the details of the Lunarian theory here, because while the Lunarian theory is plausible, Joy Boy being a Lunarian is not a requirement for the lineage factor theory as a whole to be true. To sum it all up, I think that Oda has been hinting for a long time that while a Devil Fruit definitely alters the lineage factor of its user, this is not the only genetic change that occurs when someone consumes a Devil Fruit. Some of the user's lineage factor is also imprinted upon that Devil Fruit, and when the user dies and the Devil Fruit is reincarnated and then consumed by the next user will also be consuming some of the previous user's lineage factor along with the Devil Fruit. So when Luffy consumed the Nika Devil Fruit, he didn't just consume one of the strongest Devil Fruits in existence, he also consumed the lineage factor of one of the strongest warriors in history, and the world government's most powerful and most notorious enemy, Joy Boy. Luffy is not only the user of the same Devil Fruit as Joy Boy, but on a genetic level, he really is Joy Boy, at least to an extent. Because of that, when Luffy consumed the Nika Devil Fruit and when it finally awakened to its true power, the original Joy Boy really did return, in a way. I wonder if Sun God Nika, the one who gave the Devil Fruit its very name, was a real person once, just like Joy Boy. I mean, maybe Nika is just a legend that came from the Devil Fruit itself, or maybe the original Joy Boy inherited the lineage factor of an even older godly warrior of legend, and this is what allowed him to become such a fierce warrior during the Void Century. And now, of course, Luffy is on his way to becoming the greatest warrior of this era with the help of the Nika Devil Fruit and the lineage factor of its former legendary users. Let me know what you guys think. Do Devil Fruits contain the lineage factors of its former users? And are these lineage factors transferred from one user to another through the Devil Fruit itself? Does Luffy possess the lineage factor, the DNA of the original Joy Boy from 800 years ago? Could this secret connection to Joy Boy help explain Luffy's incredible willpower, determination, and commitment to freedom? Definitely leave your thoughts down in the comments below. I can't wait to hear all your crazy Nika Joy Boy theories. Since we've been talking about Luffy's Devil Fruit Awakening and Gear 5 so much, don't miss our full-length video that talks about all the crazy powers and abilities of Nika and Gear 5. Check it out right now, link in the description and on screen. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more in the future, leave a quick like right now. And if you want to help us awaken the true power of this channel and hit 2 million subscribers, subscribe right now. Every single subscription counts and it helps us out a lot.